You don't get that humming noise. So you think they're going to pop a big cyst, and all of a sudden they pull out this big bug out of this cat that burrowed itself into the skin.
The big bug?
The big bug. Yeah, it's like a bowfly that gets in there, and it's just a parasite that gets in there. It doesn't really hurt so much the cat, other than it gives them like that bump. So, but yeah. So follow us out on where are your sites?
I got a bunch of sites. I'm trying to tune everything up, make sure everybody can hear us out there. Let me share this here again real quick. Let's see, more options. Share to group. Let's see, is this where I want? Nope.
Why don't you do all this stuff before we get on air?
You can't. That's the thing. You have to be live before you can share anything.
All right, I got you.
You figured it out now?
Maybe. I know. Mm-hmm. The internet's my life. I should know all these things.
You should. You should know everything about this stuff.
I do. So how was the Cabbage Patch?
The Cabbage Patch was busy. It was hopping. Actually, Thursday was okay. It was slow. Friday and Saturday was our best nights. And then Sunday they have what they call a survivor party, which is just basically...
everybody that survived the weekend?
Yeah. Everybody that basically
survived. Just woke up at the Cabbage Patch. All right, give me a beer.
Or across the street at the campground, yeah. So... But that's what's going on. But
now, do you drive back and forth, or do they give you a place to stay?
No, I drive back and forth. Hell, I'd rather sleep in my own bed than try to sleep on the ground.
Yeah, it's not too far. Was it? No, 30 minutes.
Takes about 25, 30 minutes to get there.
It's not bad. I've never been.
Well, that's because you know nothing about rock and roll.
You're absolutely right. I'm a country music guy. Although I do like the Eagles. They're rock.
Well, and I like... No. Eagles are Southern rock. There's a difference.
Well, there is a difference.
There's a difference. There's a big difference.
Okay, then I love Southern rock. The rest of the rock I don't even care about unless it's Elvis.
Unless it's Elvis? Well, yeah. Well, now, speak of that, Elvis, I don't know. Elvis was... Elvis, I think, was more of a... I don't know. He was rock and roll, but they also said he was country too. But I don't. There was a few songs in there that could have been country, but not many.
Well, yeah. I mean, they play him on country music like on Sirius Radio, on the Roadhouse, and that kind of stuff. They play him all the time. But Elvis is the king of rock and roll. He's in all. Him and Johnny Cash, I believe, are in all three Hall of Fames: the Rock and Roll, Country, and Gospel Hall of Fames. I think they're like the only two people it's in all three of the different Hall of Fames.
Right.
But Elvis was the bomb. Did you know, speaking of Elvis, that he was on the Grand Ole Opry, sang his song, they booed him, did not like him, threw him out, told him he could not play again, and he went out in his car and cried and almost gave up music because of it.
Yep.
But then whoever it was, maybe it was Colonel Tom Parker, said, all right, let's go do the Louisiana Hayride. And they loved him at the Louisiana Hayride. And then the rest is history. And he became the king of rock and roll. Died at the age of 42 in 1977, August 16th.
Yep. I think there's a lot of artists that are like that happens to them.
Well, Hank Williams, who's like the original hillbilly, basically hillbilly rock. He was fired from the Grand Ole Opry.
Right, yeah.
Waylon Jennings... was not allowed to play because he had drums in his band, so he couldn't play on the Grand Ole Opry for the longest time.
I wonder what was the reason why, because of the
drums. Drums are rock and roll, man. You can't rock and roll at the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah, but it depends on how you play them, though. Didn't anybody ever teach them that?
Well, I mean, it was back in the day. So,
right,
back when Johnny Cash and those guys, there wasn't a lot of drum playing going on with the country music, especially country music. There wasn't a lot of drums. It was guitars and steel guitars and banjos. There wasn't a lot of percussion.
Right.
And then somebody introduced percussion to the country music stuff, and then that was, and then that's how they got it. That's how they did the, and then Waylon Jennings couldn't do it, and then Johnny Cash got in trouble because he.
What's up, Jason?
Because he kicked. He cooked out the footlights on the Grand Ole Opry.
He cooked out the footlights?
Kicked out the footlights on the Grand Ole Opry stage.
All right, let's make this call.
We're
going to call our buddy here. I got his number ready. Let's give him a shout and see what our man's doing.
Cowboy Troy.
Right.
Can't wait to get a hold of him, hear what he's been cooking.
Stand by.
Stand by. Can y'all hear the ring?
Hello, is this Mr. Cowboy Troy, a.k.a. Hiccup, a.k.a. CT, my buddy? What's up, man?
Not much. How y'all doing?
Good. Welcome to our show, Grillin and Chillin. It's a brand new show. We've just, let's see, what episode are we on? 7 right now?
6 or 7, yeah.
Yeah, we're on episode 7. So
he's our second guest.
That's right. You are our second guest. So what's been going on, man? Long time no see. Last time I talked to you was over at Cowboy Founders Day, which was a couple of years ago. And
yeah.
It's been a while. So tell me, so you're cooking, man. I knew you like to cook on the side and do things, at the house and stuff for the kids and whatnot. What got you? I mean, from what it looks like, you're really getting into it. What have you been cooking lately?
Well, yesterday, and first off, thanks for having me on your program. I appreciate that. Yesterday, I showed one of my sons a picture of a chicken parmesan that I had made one afternoon for lunch for myself. And it was right before they went to school because, they're starting to ask me, well, what are you cooking for dinner when we get home? What are you cooking for? What's for dinner?
Makes you want to get back on the road, doesn't
it? Well, I mean, I don't mind cooking. That's the fun part. So when he asked, I said, well, here's what chicken parmesan looks like. And he'd had it before at restaurants and whatnot, but he said, oh, wee. And I said, yeah, there's a lot of cheese on it. He said, yeah, that's what I want for dinner. So last night, yesterday afternoon, I went to the grocery and got the stuff that I needed to make chicken parmesan. And so I was like, all right, so I go in there and I, get the chicken breast and start getting the mallet and, hammering them out and getting them flattened so that I could season them, bread them, and then, fry them up. And then after I fry them up, I put a little marinara sauce on top and then put some mozzarella and a Parmesan mix and then put it in under the broiler to melt that cheese over top of it. Right. So when you cut in it, you get cheese and you get marinara on each bite. So, that's just kind of what I've been doing. That's the last thing I made. The other day, a couple, 3 days ago, I made some chicken cacciatore. And I had made that about 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I had made that with chicken breast. And so this time I decided to try making that with chicken thighs because they have a little bit more flavor in the chicken thigh. And so it worked out well. So I'm just trying to stay busy. Right now I got a copy of Southern Cast Iron Magazine and, sitting here and it's talking about different recipes to try with your cast iron skillet. So, it's kind of what I do in my spare time. I've got plenty of spare time here lately, but
we all do.
When I'm not cooking at home, I got a buddy here in Tyler, Texas, that owns a Cajun restaurant, and he's teaching me the restaurant business.
That's where you've been cooking. That's where I've been seeing all the food. You're in the kitchen someplace cooking, right?
Yeah. Well, my buddy's teaching me the restaurant business while we're off the road. So I learned how to. So I learned, how to make jambalaya from scratch and watch how they actually go in there and make sausage and all that stuff when you're making boudin and all that. So I mean, it's a cool thing, but I cook more than just Cajun food, because the last 2 dishes I just talked to you about are Italian dishes, and I mean I like to make a little German food from time to time, and I'll get in there and just figure out it's almost like a food tourism kind of a thing. You kind of get you want to try Italian food, German food. Made a Polish dish the other day called haluski, which is, you've got your sausage links and you slice it and then you brown it in the skillet and then you take your cabbage and then you fry them together with some noodles. And, what I generally do is before I fry the cabbage, I make it into a vinegar slaw. And instead of a coleslaw, because if you make it into a vinegar slaw, it holds that flavor in the cabbage, and it sits overnight with the red wine vinegar, and it gets a little bit more punch to it. And then when you fry it along with your sausage, if you're using a bratwurst or whatever kind of, or a kielbasa type of sausage,
right?
I mean, it works out really, really well. So just trying to go, food passport.
How's your brisket techniques coming?
Man, my brisket skills are not that great. I'm not patient like that. I mean, to smoke a brisket properly, it's like 12 to 24 hours. I'm like, man, I'm really not wanting to sit there and wait that long. The last time I made a brisket was about a month, maybe a month ago, month and a half. And, got the smoke on it. It had the flavor. It's just, it wasn't as tender as I would have preferred. So the next day I had a little bit of leftover. And the next day I took that and I chopped it up and I got my wok and I made brisket fried rice. So I took the brisket, I had a little bit of leftover turnip greens and put that in my wok with some sesame oil, got it, fried up a little bit, and then put the fried rice in there and seasoned the rice. So I made brisket fried rice. Now that worked out really well.
That sounds good.
But
do you inject your brisket, or you just season it and throw it on?
I season it and throw it on, but like I say, my brisket technique is not all that great because I don't have that much patience with a brisket.
It takes forever, man. By the time you trim it out and cook
it. Well, say again?
I said, by the time you trim it out, and like I said, it takes 12 to 16 to even some 24 hours, depending on the temperature of your cooker. It takes forever to cook a nice brisket, especially if you get one of any kind of size.
Yeah, I don't have that kind of patience. I mean, I'm like, so I guess a couple of days ago I had a pork tenderloin, and I'm pushing it with that, in terms of the time, because I put it on the grill, indirect heat, with charcoal briquettes, let it smoke, but it's like 2 hours, so that's kind of like my limit. I'm like, hey, after 2 hours, I'm ready to eat it. You smoke it indirect heat for 2 hours, that's great, tastes good.
I was going to say, your football team lasts longer than 2 hours. Come on. You can plan it out. Have 3 or 4 games on a Saturday or Sunday, and then just put it in early and start it, and it'll be done by dinner time.
Well, I mean, I like to eat, though, and that's the thing. I don't want to sit there and wait that long to eat. I mean, if it's something else, I can patiently do something else.
Right.
But that means I'm smoking the brisket and cooking another meal on top of that. I just like to eat as I go. I make the meals as I go. It tends to work out better for me. Now, I can tell you, if you've got leftover brisket or some leftover ribs, I could tell you how to handle that. You take that and you make either some brisket nachos or you take the rib meat off the rib and you cut that off and chop it up and make, rib nachos with that, barbecue nachos with that.
Right.
I mean, I've got ideas. I mean, I'm used to eating and throwing stuff together because, when you're out on the road, you really don't have if you're on the tour bus and you're on a long run and you don't have time to stop and you're trying to get to the next venue, you don't really have time to stop and, hit up Cracker Barrel. So you got to make sure you can make something to eat on the bus.
Are you, are they still doing homeschooling there, or are they back in the classrooms yet?
My boys are back in the classroom, so
you got a little bit. You got a little bit of time now. You got a little bit of free time.
Well, if I've got some ideas, I can either do some writing or what have you. I mean, on top of that, I do some HR consulting.
Right.
That was my first job out of college. So if I got a day off from the restaurant, I could do some HR consulting or some marketing consulting. Or if I'm working at the restaurant, that night, I can get up early enough in the day and then kind of work on my ideas then. But here in the last couple of weeks, sometimes on the weekends, the club next door, which is owned by the guy that owns the restaurant, sometimes they're like, hey, the club's open, but the DJ called in. Can you spin? And I was like, sure, why not?
Welcome to the entertainment life.
I was going to say, did you tell him your price was a little bit higher than what normally DJs make?
Yeah, I didn't. I was like. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. So, I mean, it's rare that I get to ask for it, but I mean, if they're in a bind,
right,
then yeah, I'll jump in that, because then it would, it just works out, and it's kind of fun. I jump in and I'll spin a little bit, but yeah, man, it's cool. It's cool. It's been a learning experience. I tell you, the whole COVID shutdown kind of thing. It's been a learning experience, not only about other industries, but about myself. So it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's BS, but that's just my opinion, because I think it's all politically motivated. But
there's that.
Yeah,
there's that. But you have to look at the fact that we've not been allowed to work.
Right. So, that's the problem, and that's why Trump said we need to get people back to work. If we can get people back to work, I think we'll be fine. Because we don't want to get so far behind it where we're going to put ourselves in a hole and not be able to come out of that hole when everybody gets back to work. It's going to take like 5-10 years just to get back to where we was if we don't start working now, I think.
Well, that's a fair point, and you also have to look at the fact that even with people being allowed to go back in some regard to some semblance of a job or some trade or work or what have you, you still have others that will be very scared and frightened of getting out into public because of what has been told to them. And yes, it's a real thing. Yep. I get that, but it's not that it's to the point where it's so difficult that you can't overcome it.
Right. It's different it's different for everybody. I try to explain it to people like it's like the chicken pox. You have chicken pox. Everybody has chicken pox in their bodies. It just depends on what's going to bring it out at a certain time. It could be 10 years, it could be 20 years, 30 years, you never know. So that's kind of how this COVID thing working.
Yeah, and people are just scared to get out. Some people are just like, I'm not going out. Okay, well, then if you're not going out there, I get that.
Yeah.
To each their own. But man, I tell you, it's been rough. Once all the lockdown started, I was telling my father, I said, this is going to change the industry. I think that you're going to see so many different ways. I said there are some people that are doing drive-in concerts. I think you're going to see some of these festivals that, and kind of on the sidelines watching how things will do. I think that you're going to start seeing a lot more drive-in festivals, or you're going to start seeing a lot more virtual opportunities. Matter of fact, before we were shut down for the summer, early on in the year, I said, man, it'd be kind of cool that when we go out this year, this was like January, February, I said, it'd be kind of cool when we go out this year if maybe we set up video cameras at the soundboard so that fans at home that can't make it to the show can actually watch the live show and listen to the mix from the soundboard and get optimal sound.
Right.
And, now you're starting to look at, there's going to be a lot more virtual events. The rough thing is, like now, when you're watching virtual events, you're watching these award shows or what have you, it's full-on band and lighting and production, but there is no one in the stands. So as an artist, as an artist, you're looking at that feels like being at a sound check.
Right, yeah.
There's no energy. You lose the energy when there's nobody there.
You're on stage. You feel like you're at a sound check. The fans at home are looking, and it looks cool. But to the artist, it's like, wow, this is a big empty room. So it's almost like you're rehearsing, like it's a sound check, or like it's the early days in your career when nobody really showed up at that time slot.
Right.
Right. And it's like, you're at that point. But I understand how they're doing it. So for the people at home, you're watching from home, they're pumping in crowd noise to make it feel like, it's really a live event. It's just really odd.
Yeah.
It's just odd. I get it, though. I understand it. And they're doing their best. There's no knock on that. They're doing their best. The networks are trying their best to get that out there. But, knowing what I know from my side of the fence, I'm just sitting there watching. I'm like, okay, I can tell that the artists are really busting their humps trying to make sure they get the same level of energy.
Well, yeah, so the people sitting at home, they're getting a great show just like any other awards show with like the piped in applause and yelling and crowd noise and all that stuff. But from an artist perspective, we feed on, like I know I do comedy and stuff, but you feed on that energy. If the crowd's into it, you're more into it. And when you're just sitting there doing like you said, like a sound check or just kind of going through the motions almost, you kind of lose that little extra when you try, you do your best, but then you just kind of just no way you're getting around it.
I think you always have that feel. There's always going to be more people wanting live shows than anything else. I don't think this virtual thing is going to last very long because people are going to get tired and say, we want our live shows back. Florida's wide open. We're 100% capacity. We can do pretty much whatever we want as long as it's within reason, and we try to stay our distance. Bike Week, just got done doing Bike Week in Daytona, and it was a success. So that's why I say people are going to want the entertainment back. They're going to want we may not be the stadium size when we come back, but it'll get there eventually. We want to at least do, the smaller venues, 10, 12,000 at least maybe or whatever. But people want live entertainment.
People are missing people.
Right.
Oh, they are. They are missing it a lot. I mean, I tell you, even at the restaurant, there'll be times when people will call in and say, hey, is there any live entertainment? Because here in Texas, we're at 75% capacity for restaurants.
Right.
Or something like that. So people call the restaurant, and on Thursday and Fridays, we'll have live entertainment, come in at the restaurant, and people come in, they love it, they have a great time. It's just like, because it's one thing to sit there and eat. Every restaurant has some sort of playlist going in the background with music. But when you sit there and you have a live human being playing music or whatever, that adds a different dynamic, a different vibe, a different feel to it. People enjoy their meals. They stay longer. They might actually stick around for an order of dessert. Yeah. Just to hear the music.
I think a lot of them are sitting there. I think a lot of them are just staying to sit and just have interaction with somebody else. Besides sitting at home all the time. They want to go out and eat. They probably thought when they opened up the restaurants, they said, thank God. So they book a restaurant, they go and eat, and then they just sit and talk for a while, because they want to intermingle with, friends or whoever, or just, they want that atmosphere.
And sometimes they're just sick of eating their own food, at home. Some people get sick of cooking. Some of them are sitting at home and they're eating microwave dinners. And I like microwave dinners just like the next person, in some regards. The healthy choice microwave dinners are really cool, actually, by the way.
Right.
And I don't have it. I don't have any stake in that, anywhere. I just like the way they taste.
I like Stouffer's. Stouffer's is good.
Stouffer's are good too.
Yep.
Stouffer's are really good.
Yep.
Stouffer's lasagna and the spaghetti.
Yep.
The Stouffer's meals are really good. If you're looking for lighter fare, but the healthy choice are pretty jam up, man. I like those. But like I said, I don't have any stake in that. I just like the way they taste. But after a while, you get tired of eating microwave dinners and frozen pizza and all that stuff. You want to eat something that was made fresh and fewer preservatives, so to speak.
Right. Yeah. We're sitting here.
Go out to eat.
We're sitting here talking with Cowboy Troy here today on Grillin' and Chillin'. What do you guys? Let's see. Do you do hunting? You go hunting sometimes, don't you?
No, I don't really have time to hunt.
You don't have time. Okay.
I've never taken the time to go hunting. I do enjoy watching it on TV if I can get the Outdoor Channel on or the Sportsman's Channel. I do respect the discipline that it takes to sit there.
Right.
And
goes back to that
hours.
patience of cooking a brisket thing.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. But see, the thing is you could sit there and go to sleep doing that. You go to sleep on a brisket, you might ruin it.
That's when you set the alarm clock.
Oh, is that it? That's what, another thing is when I'm sitting there watching, somebody on a deer hunt or if they're hog hunting, I'm thinking, how am I going to prepare that once they bring me, the sets of meat that I'm looking for? How am I going to cook that?
Yeah. See, hog hunting here in Florida, that's year round. You can just wait for a hog to come up. You can just stand still and wait for a hog. He'll come right up to you. You won't have to chase him or nothing.
Sit on your porch with
he'll sit right there on your porch.
Sweet tea and a gun. You're good to go. I do the same thing. I look at something and I'm like, all right, so how would I cook that? Like I was watching one of the TikToks and this guy had this huge big rattlesnake and I'm like, okay, so what I would do with that would be I'd probably stick something in a skillet, put a little bit of butter and some salt on it and fry that baby up. But I've been wanting to smoke a python.
Snake? I'd probably just throw it in the trash. I'm just not really wanting to eat that. Some things, it just doesn't sound appetizing. I mean, I'll go out on a limb with some things and be adventurous to an extent, but I mean, some of these odd exotic meats and stuff that you hear about or read about, I'm gonna just say no. I'll stick with, beef, bison, elk, that kind of stuff is cool. Fish, normal fish. Now, sea urchins and all, I'm not really looking for that. I'm not gonna eat that. That's
why I said hunting, because venison in a crock pot. That's good. If you ever done, I got a recipe for that. I'll have to send you that recipe if you want it, because I got a recipe for venison in a crock pot. And man, it is
I'd put that in a doggone roasting pan and let it roast.
Yeah.
And see, that would be just awesome. Put you some vegetables in there, some potatoes, some carrots.
It's like a low boil. It's almost like a low boil.
Yep, that's it.
Next time you're in Florida, I'll smoke you an alligator.
Yeah, Vic can do alligators.
Yeah, alligators, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So, kind of switching gears a little bit, what's your calendar? Is your calendar starting to fill up again with gigs, or y'all still trying to fill time?
Right now, big and rich shows, from what I can tell, are probably going to start up in February. So, I mean, booking solo gigs, it's kind of, waiting to see what the agent can come up with, and make some changes probably to the show presentation, just given the amount of, you probably have to make some changes in production in terms of the live show just to get to and fro and worry about some of the restrictions that some places may have. But, just kind of sitting there biding my time, working side gigs and side hustles and other stuff. And
are you trying to get down to Florida?
Oh, I'm not opposed to it. I haven't had any conversations. I think the last conversation I had was somebody was interested in booking me for something for February in Florida. And I said, okay, let me know what date so I can kind of put it on the schedule and kind of plan around it. Yeah. But I'm interested in getting in as soon as, November, December, if you know somebody. Because me, I'll cause a ruckus. I'm good for it.
I know you will. Let's see, November, December. I could probably put it out on the airwaves and say, hey, I got an artist that wants to come down that'll cause a ruckus if anybody wants to hire him.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I'm not opposed to it. I am not opposed to it at all. It is fun.
You know what?
You gotta promote that new record.
Right. Oh, yeah. Tell us about that. Tell us about the new record.
Okay, so the new project is called Galaxy. And Galaxy was released May 29 of this year. And it's a 4-part project it released in 4 EPs with 4 songs on each EP.
Wow.
And yeah, it's really interesting the way it works, because each of the songs that were, in the same vibe were put on a particular EP. So, part 1 is Galaxy Interstellar Frequencies. And, that has, the songs like Bacon are on that.
Right.
And,
Bacon. I love
those
that.
songs, BYOB, they're dance songs. And then you got part 2, which is Galaxy Hypnotic Hyperspace.
Right.
And that's more of a laid back, meant to be played sitting in an easy chair, headphones on, leaning back, and just relaxing to it. So Hypnotic Hyperspace gives you that kind of where you can zone out. I had a song on there called Retro Zone Out, and it uses older, it has an older vibe to the production and the music, but, as far as the digital production, but then you've got live instruments, mariachi horns, vihuelas, and other, mariachi guitar instruments and guitarrón and stuff like that to give you a really kind of a space Western vibe to it.
Right.
And, and then you've got songs that will give you, one of those feels of, it's a spaced out thing, but it's got steel guitar on it in other songs. So, and then you've got part 3, which will give you more of kind of like cantinas and constellations. And that part is just, it's fun, it's out there, but it's not so far afield that people don't really understand where I've come from musically, because people know that I will stretch. I will keep the majority of my projects like, I'd say about 40% of my projects like what the original music that people like me for.
Right.
But then on the remainder of the project, I will stretch so that people will have an understanding of what I'm trying to accomplish, and also give an opportunity for people from other formats to actually kind of tune in just a little bit. And then the last part is Galaxy Vortex Chronicles. And that's where you have some really interesting collaborations. I got a song on there called Could, and it's me, Chuck D from Public Enemy, and the rock band Digital Brains out of Nashville.
Yeah, okay.
So I mean, I'll do some interesting things on there. But yeah, it's a fun project. It's available digitally where all music is consumed. So, Galaxy, check it out.
There's been a long-running, standing argument. It's kind of like the old saying, which came first, the chicken or the egg? So there's still, have we managed to figure out the question, which came first, Cowboy Troy or Colt Ford? Have we figured that out yet?
Cowboy Troy. My first major album was released in 2005. His was in 2007.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Now, are you guys pretty much close to the same type, or no? I think yours is a little bit different because yours has got more soul in it. I think his has more got redneck in it.
Colt and I have an interesting approach to music. I mean, we're in the same neighborhood, but maybe on different blocks in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
When it comes musically, I mean, it's like there are so many other country rappers. When I first released my first album, my first indie record came out in 2001. And there was nobody doing what I was doing that I'm aware of.
Yeah, there wasn't.
And I've asked the question, if I'm wrong, somebody correct me. But nobody's come to correct me. So I'll assume that was the first. But by the time 2005, when Locomotive came out, it was the first major label hip hop record from start to finish. Other people had maybe done a song here, a song there. My first record on Warner was the first major label start to finish hip hop record. And, so there's that. But, it's always been fun, and it's always been a thing that, I'm just grateful that I get to make music and get to have people out there dancing and drinking and having a good time.
Now, you've been in Texas pretty much all your life, right? Because you never lived in Nashville. You've always lived in Texas, right?
Well, no. People will assume that. I'm born and raised in Texas. We moved to Texas, moved to Texas in 2004, right before the first tour we did, opening for McGraw.
Okay.
But lived in Tennessee lived in Columbia, which is just south of Nashville. Lived there for 13 years, but just recently got back to Texas 3 years ago. But yeah, my whole family's from Texas. I'm born and raised in Texas. I still have family here. Pop still lives in Dallas. So yeah, I mean, I'm born and raised in Texas.
Okay.
Because when I moved, I never claimed Tennessee. Yes, I live in Tennessee,
right,
at least at the time.
Right.
But I always told people I am a Texan.
Okay, we got somebody that actually has questioned your authority. You know Joshua Dirksen, the DJ in Nashville?
I know Josh, yeah.
Josh, he said, maybe Bubba Sparks with the Timberland production.
Bubba Sparks had but the thing that Josh needs to understand is Timberland and Bubba had one song or two songs like that. I said mine was the first major label album from start to finish.
Right.
That's why I clarified that. So there's really no discussion on that. There
you go, Josh.
Way to go, Josh. Way to disrupt things, Josh.
one or two songs is one thing, but to have a full-on album. And when Locomotive came out, that was all live instruments. There were no programmed instruments on Locomotive. So that there's another bit of trivia that you might know.
Now, have you found with your brand, the Hick Hop, have you found any kind of resistance at first, and then a switch with traditional country fans and that kind of thing? What's been? People are when things are new, people are likely to want to say, "Well, I don't know about that." Mm-hmm. Let me see. But once they get into it, it's something that they're able to kind of enjoy and have fun with it. It's pretty interesting. It's kind of like when you try a new dish and you've never had it before. It's like, do you like it? I don't know. Or you try it first. Some people say, no, I don't like it. Have you ever tried it? Well, no. How do you know you don't like it? Exactly.
So it's one of those things. But yeah, it's interesting. At first people were a little averse to it, but I knew that even back in the 90s when I was starting to write my first, original raps and stuff like that in the 90s, going to hanging out in bars and clubs in Texas, down in Austin, you're riding through the parking lot and all you see is pickup trucks out in the middle of nowhere in the parking lot. And, but everybody's got these booming radio systems and they're all jamming and thumping, whatever the popular rap music was at the time. And, just bass just booming out of these trucks. And I'm like, okay. So then you go in the club and the DJs in the club are playing country music, the first 45 minutes of the hour. And then after that, they're, playing a mixture of rock or rap or whatever. Mm-hmm. But whenever the rap music is on, everybody jumps to the dance floor, no matter what you're playing before then. You can have a number one hit on country radio, and there may or may not be people dancing. But when it comes to rap music, everybody's up there shaking their rear ends.
Yeah, well, especially when it has a beat to it and a step to it, because even me, when I was DJing in the clubs and residency and stuff like that, that's you played your country up front first, and then say around 11:30, 12 o'clock, you wanted things to start kicking. That's when you come up with the Michael Knights, the Cowboy Troys, the cha-chas, the two steps, the swing, the real upbeat,
Kid Rock.
Yeah, well, yeah, Kid Rock, Cowboy, Cowboy and Poe Dunk and all them other ones. But there's all kind, man. I mean, Blake Shelton's new.
Oh yeah,
there's tons.
Well, that's the whole thing. One of the things that I made it clear early on in my career, people used to ask me, how do you feel about this country rapper or that country rapper having more radio success or more notoriety? I'm like, look, man, there's plenty of room out here. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of ears.
Yeah.
There's plenty of ears for people to listen to the music. And, it helps to vindicate what I've been telling people all these years, is that it's going to get to the point where hip hop and country rap are so big that, people can't deny that it exists. Right now, we're looking at it as a subgenre. But, at some point, it's going to be to the point where there's going to be an award category at one of these award shows at some point.
You would think they've had it done by now because, it's been so long. It's been 10 years plus. You'd think they would have a category now.
Yeah, but it's a slow roll. It's a slow roll. And, I've said before, at some point there's going to be an award category for it. Will it ever happen? Will I ever get to see that happen? I don't know, but I think it'll happen.
Right.
And, it will be one of those things that it just vindicates what I've been telling people, that, it's a format, it is a form of music that allows people who like rap music to hear it from a country music fan's perspective.
Right.
With country instrumentation, country themes, but it's delivered vocally in a rap or a recitation format.
Right, yeah.
Who were some of your earlier influences? Like I've talked to Colt a couple of times, and he and I talked about how what you guys are doing, you and him and Schmo and some of the others, is kind of it's kind of an updated version of Devil Went Down to Georgia of Charlie Daniels, who did the spoken word and rhymed, and I mean he didn't have the beats that you guys have. So I was wondering if guys like him or some others were some of your earlier influences.
Yeah, I mean for sure Charlie Daniels, and I told him how much he meant to my career. Guys like Charlie Daniels, Jerry Reed, Roger Miller. So I used to like to listen to Jerry Reed. You listen to, She Got the Gold Mine, I Got the Shaft, or When You're Hot, You're Hot, or, Eastbound and Down from Smokey and the Bandit movies. You've got Roger Miller. Roger Miller had an interesting style where it was funny. It had a sing-songy kind of vocal delivery, but it was half sung, half spoken kind of a thing. And, songs like Dang Me. Mm-hmm. And, it's just one of those things, those guys, when it comes to that kind of vocal delivery, they definitely influenced me. You could think about Mel McDaniel, Louisiana Saturday Night is another song that comes to mind from those days that, kind of influenced some of my earlier stuff. There's a lot of folks, man.
Yeah, and that shows you, too. Just some of the names you just spit out was classic country. So if anybody has any doubts about Cowboy Troy, unless you're classic country, you're not going to know Roger Millers and Mel McDaniels.
Or Jerry
Reed or some of those guys other than the Smokey and the Bandit movie and the Waterboy movie.
Jimmy Dean. Think about Jimmy Dean and Big John. Big Bad John. Yep. And you think about Tennessee Ernie Ford with 16 Tons and songs like that. And then if you go over to the folk side of music with Jim Croce, Bad Bad Leroy Brown and Nobody Mess with Jim and all those songs. You think about it, man. There's a whole ton of songs that, growing up as a kid, listening to them, I never really thought about it as being as country music. I just thought about them as being music that was good. I didn't, we didn't really categorize stuff a whole lot, I guess, because there were radio stations back in Dallas and Fort Worth that would, play a mixture of everything.
Yeah, that's I was telling somebody the other day, like pop music back in the day played everybody from Sinatra to Elvis to Hank Williams. That was popular music. And then we started splitting everything up into jazz and into this and having their own stations. But I like having, just give me a variety of good music on my radio station and I'm down for it. But that's...
Well, yeah, there would be stations that would play... there's a station that used to be around. I don't even know if it's around anymore. It was called KVIL, where it's call letters. And it was 103.7 in Dallas back in the 80s and up until the 90s, I think. But back when I was a kid, they would play... You could hear them play Kenny Rogers' song into the Pointer Sisters, into Stevie Wonder... then into the Commodores, and then it would be into a Dolly Parton song or something like that. It was really an eclectic mix of music. I mean, that would have been an interesting time to be in the room when they set up the programming for those.
Well, that's probably back in the day when DJs did their own programming, when the radio personalities didn't rely on a company to send them in a sheet to say, you're going to play these records because this is what's popular now.
Well, yeah, back in the day, the DJs... See, they still do that over in England and France and Britain and all them. The DJs over there play what the people want to hear. It's not all politics. They actually will play what the fans want to hear.
Yeah, and that's like you can call in and do a request. You don't really hear people doing that anymore, like requesting a song. But back when I was a kid, we would call it
on the Facebook page.
Right? Yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Or they text it to 202020.
Yeah.
Well, if you remember that song Petty had, The Last DJ, here's the last DJ that plays what he wants to play,
Yep.
Tom Petty was always out there, man. When he had his music, he was always on point.
Yep.
So how does just to kind of switch gears just a little bit, how does video, because you mentioned Tom Petty and then what he wrote about The Last DJ got me thinking about Video Killed the Rock Star that they played on MTV.
Video killed the rock star.
Whatever. Stop. Listen, we got Cowboy Troy here. Don't embarrass yourself, man.
Hey, he knows I can sing.
Yeah, you can't. Shoot, you couldn't sing your way out of a wet paper sack with 2 holes in it. How do you view the videos that you make for your songs? Do you have fun doing them? Is it a chore? Or do you just like, oh man, I got to do another video? Great day in the morning.
It's a different mindset. Being on camera is a different mindset than performing live in front of an audience, specifically in the sense that, if you mess up on a video shoot, you get to cut, redo it, they'll edit it together, and then there you go. You have a finished product that you see or you stream. On television or you stream on your phone. The big issue that, like, if you're live and you mess up, then you get to improvise and do some ad libs or whatever. But I like videos, but you just have to be mentally prepared for it because it is something that is going to take some effort on the part of the artist and the crew and everybody to make sure everything's right and then the lighting is right, and then you'll shoot the video many times from different angles and different, shots or whatever. And so, so then you can have a cohesive look when they cut from scene to scene.
Do you ever get tired of singing your own song over and over when you do those video shoots?
I don't look at it as getting tired of singing it. I think it's more a matter of, I think we have enough shots from this setup. Let's switch setup or switch wardrobe and figure out how we could do another setup. I mean, I think it's good to have multiple looks. But, I get that. I think the biggest issue that people are facing now musically is streaming compared to radio play.
Yep.
Now the internet has done wonders for artists in the sense that it has allowed artists to reach a fan base more directly. In decades past, you had the record labels acting as the go-between between artists and fans, or the fan club presidents or the fan clubs going as a go-between between the fans and the artists. So you've got that going. Now you have social media that allows an artist, I can reach out to fans directly, or they can reach to me, and you don't have to go through management, you don't have to go through an agent, you don't have to go through a label. You can reach me relatively quickly. But what?
Here's the problem. Don't get me started on this because you know me. The record labels like Sony and Columbia, RCA, Warner, BMG, all of them are trying to stop that because there's a mean, ugly, nasty company out there called Sound Exchange, and they've been matter of fact, the college radio station that I know that's up in New York has been on the air for a long time. They stream everything, and they just got a notice last week saying to cease and desist everything. And I'm thinking they've been on the radio now. They've been on the air now for probably 10 plus years. And now all of a sudden you guys this is a power trip. This is political. I get that the reason they want to do this is because they're losing their asses off when it comes to live events. Because Live Nation screwed it up, plus the coronavirus screwed it up. To this day, I still tell all my new independent artists, if you're going to do music, make sure you do your own label, you do your own production, you do your own mastering, you do your own promotion, keep it all in-house, and don't give it to anybody. That way, there's no problem. You can say, I can tell who to play, when to play, and how to play, and nobody else can say anything about it. I mean, granted, you guys should get paid. I agree with that. But when they're only giving the artist 0.11 or 0.0001% compared to what the record labels are getting for all the money that BMI and ASCAP is supposedly collecting, being the fact that they're insurance companies, when in fact all they are is hurricane insurance companies. They just sit around and collect. You guys should get paid more than what you do. But the internet radio stations are trying to help the artists get their music out. So, yeah, it's this went on when the other president was in office way back when they tried to take over the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand your point. I mean, I was really looking at it from a social media standpoint, as far as access.
Whatever, he just finds a way to get a tangent going.
But I understand exactly what you mean. I understand exactly what you mean, because I can reach fans through social media and say, hey, listen to this song. But as far as getting them to play it, once the videos are played, there's millions of views that go out, but only pennies on the dollar are being collected for it. And that's where you're having the issue. I think another big issue is that newer artists, going back to your point on owning your own masters and doing your own stuff, if you can afford to do it, or if you can get somebody that can help you do it and let you pay it back, if they have what's called a 360 deal. So you got these artists that are signing a 360 deal because they're so desperate to be signed.
Right.
Yes, that's awesome, but that means the label is collecting a percentage of everything: your ticket sales, merchandise sales, record sales, royalties if you're not careful.
Right. And if
you don't read it.
Yeah, if you don't have a couple $1 million in your pocket and about 100,000 followers, there's nobody going to look at you. That's another kicker too. When did music go from actually listening to the record and liking the music to, oh, well, you don't have enough people following you, so we can't actually put your... Because I can tell you right now, CT, I've been doing this for a while now, and I can tell you there's plenty of independent artists. I can pull probably at least 10 off of my roster that will blow away most of your, quote, big-time artists right now. They sound 100 times better, and they sound, they perform way better than most of them.
Yeah. I think the big issue is that major labels are looking at artists as a quantifiable commodity.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
How much money can we make off of this particular artist?
Yep.
Okay, you got Joe Bag of Donuts and the Krispy Kremes is the brand new act that's in town. Okay, we sign them to the label. We put them out there. Everybody's young. Everybody's fit. Everybody looks like they wear the latest designer clothes. Okay, here's what we do. We will work with our contacts at the label. Okay, we'll see about getting them, we'll go do backdoor channels, and we'll say, okay, we'll get this clothing sponsor that will come in, and they will sponsor this person or this band. Okay, everybody in the band wears this company's clothes on TV, videos, film, concerts, anytime they're seen in public. We'll make it a point. From the label standpoint, the label might get some money for that, plus, the artist getting clothes, and they might get, a little stipend or something like that. Well, then maybe you've got somebody at the label getting a little extra kickback for that. So there's that to look into.
A little.
And then you've got, okay, now we got them out there doing that. They got their clothing deal. Okay, let's get them a liquor sponsorship or a beer sponsorship. Okay, well, somebody at the label, we partnered, our record label is partnered with, whatever brewery, and Joe Bag of Donuts is now signed to that. Somebody's getting paid. It's all about marketing. It's all about perception. It's all about, we want, if I own the brewery, I want people in their mid-20s to mid-40s drinking my beer, looking like they're out having a good time at the lake, or they're barbecuing in the backyard or whatever. It's supposed to look like a party. Yep. Everybody's having a good time, and every time they have a good time, they've got one of my beer cans in their hand.
Right, yeah.
Okay? That becomes the thing. It's that product placement. Same thing with the clothing. Same thing with the hats or the boots or whatever they're wearing. If they're driving a truck, oh, hey, you know what? They got a truck sponsorship. We want them driving our trucks in the videos. So somebody through back channels is getting paid, obviously, and there's money. So you think about it, it makes sense. The labels want what's a marketable, quantifiable commodity. That means it's going to be valuable to the label to have this particular person on your TV or in your hand watching that smartphone singing these songs.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
Well, one thing...
So,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying, it just makes sense that, there are going to be times when, I know some talented, and I do mean talented artists, talented musicians that play that play in the, that aren't in the big name bands.
Right.
But these cats play instruments and they shred, or they play great fiddle, or they, great on the drums, but they're not in the loop or in the inner circle. So it takes some time, but yeah, you're going to find that.
Well, I think a lot of times is the labels are not necessarily interested in the artistry of music or the artwork. They're heavy on the business side of show business, and once you've lost your usefulness, then we're on to the next shiny star, and that's.
Well, yeah. That's the way it is. I mean, it ain't called show friends. Exactly. It's called show business.
Exactly.
It's called show business.
And from that perspective, you can't hardly blame them. But then you think, what happened to some of the older guys that we used to listen to? Like I grew up on Joe Diffie and Hank Jr. and those guys.
Alan Jackson doesn't do anything.
Yeah, Alan Jackson.
George Strait doesn't hardly do anything.
But now you have like the Luke Bryans and the
don't talk bad about my boy Luke Combs.
Yeah, well,
Luke Combs
you do have.
Good now.
I'm not talking bad. It's all circular,
right?
With that, so once you get the old guys who have passed the whole party scene of sorts, then you're on to the next. Just like you were talking about, if I got a beer sponsor or a liquor sponsor, I want somebody in that party age group that's going to push my product. And that's where, once you get into the Alan Jackson age, he's now a grandpa. Do you want a grandpa out partying and pushing my product? That doesn't market well.
Wait a minute. No. If he looks like he's only 35 though, that's a different story.
It's true. And if he had like Hank Jr. is a little different too.
That, well, here's how I do it. Here's how I look at it. So when they ask me to DJ, I come in and they have kind of an idea of what the club has, kind of an idea of what they want played. What I do is I will play current hits, I will play recurrents, and then I will also, throughout the evening, I will play older songs by Gary Stewart, or I'll play older songs like early George Strait,
right? Yeah.
Or songs from the 80s, Keith Whitley. And somebody was like, why are you playing that? I said, well, I have to make sure that the younger customers that are in here listening now understand where these songs came from.
Right. Yeah. Who are some of these guys that these young guys are mentioning in their songs? Like they mentioned Hank in some of their newer songs. Some of these cats that are on the dance floor have no idea who Hank is they're talking about, or George Strait, or Keith Whitley or something like that. They don't know those guys, so I appreciate what you're doing there.
Yeah, you got to make sure that you got to make sure you get the heritage acts, the older acts, the guys that are in their 50s and 60s, and the ladies that are in their 50s and 60s that are still out there, that are still currently making music. They're not on the radio, but you find some songs that will say, oh, and somebody invariably, oh, I remember that song. My mom used to play that song back in such day. And I was like, yeah, well, this is where, like the current artist that you're listening to now, this is where that influence came from.
Yeah,
I remember.
And there are times where you can do that, where if they're in the same or similar beats per minute, you can actually play a song, especially if you're in the same key. You could play a song from an older artist and then play a newer artist, and it's like an extended radio version. And people are like, what is that? Yeah. Oh, well, it's like I transitioned from this artist into this artist. And like, well, where'd that come? I said, well, now you know where the new artist got the influence to that song.
Right.
And sometimes it's not the newer artist that's writing it. Sometimes it's a team of writers that are writing for that artist. But in other situations, the artist is writing the song. And it's got to be more than just being cool, just to name check somebody and say, yeah, I'm here listening to Hank. Okay, you're listening to Hank. Okay, first off, which Hank are you listening to?
Exactly.
Hey, yeah,
two,
right.
Two, what songs are you listening to that got you to the point in your mindset to say that you're listening to Hank?
Right.
Are you really down in the dumps, so lonesome you can cry that you're name checking Hank Sr.?
Josh just
or
said.
Are you? Are you really just? Go ahead.
Josh just said Troy's been listening to my mixes. Way to plug yourself there, Josh.
I remember a story Roseanne Cash would say about her dad. Of course, Johnny Cash being her dad. He would be giving her a list of songs. Like, have you heard this song? Have you heard this song? She's like, no. He's like, you haven't heard this song? And they were classic songs, not just country, but they're just classic songs that she never heard of. And so he wrote her out a list of 100 essential songs that she needed to listen to, and she put them all on an album. Not all 100 of them, but she cut a good amount of them, put them on an album. I think it's called The Essentials or something. And it was songs that her dad said you just got to have, and that's what these younger cats they need to know. They need to know where this Jason Aldean and Luke Bryan and Luke Combs, where their roots are. And their roots are in the Alan Jacksons, the George Straits, whose roots are in the Hank Juniors and stuff, whose roots are in the George Jones, and it just keeps going back and back and back. And sometimes they get lost.
There's a guy named Cody Jinks out of Fort Worth.
Cody, my boy.
Yeah, Cody Jinks, man, he sounds like a modern-day Alan Jackson.
Yeah, he does.
But, I mean, I'll sit there and every time I DJ, I always play his song "Hippies and Cowboys." At least every time I play over at the club. But he's got this song called "Hippies and Cowboys," and it is one of my it's one of my favorite Cody Jinks songs. But I mean, it's just like, man, there are so many cats that are out there that they know their history and all that stuff. But some of the newer ones, man, you really got to work on them and just say, hey, man, look, it's cool to name check, this artist or that artist, but do you really understand where they came from, or do you really understand their mindset when these songs that you're referencing, where those songs came from? I mean, what's the history behind it? And I think it's incumbent upon guys like me who've been fortunate enough to have been around the industry for so long, relatively speaking. I mean, I'm not a 30-year guy. I mean, I'm sitting here at 16 years in the business, but I think it's incumbent upon me to make sure that I at least do my part and try and help, educate some of the newer artists and some of the newer fans, and just say, hey, right. I know you like this song. Well, here, this is where this song, the idea came from, or whatever,
Right. That's awesome. I appreciate what you're doing with that. Because I love the old, usually I'm listening to Willie's Roadhouse, so I dig the old stuff anyway. So bringing on with some of these guys and showing the roots. Well, and you have a lot of new artists too that are even on some of the older shows like RFD TV. Mm-hmm. They go on there and play, all the time. So I mean, old country. I don't give a crap what anybody says. They're not going to get rid of country music because old country will always be around as long as it's still passed down by generation to generation. It's going to be around for. Well, then you have people like Cowboy Troy who make it more modern, who bring it out to a newer audience, and through his style of music, he opens up a whole new door for people to see your influences, Troy, of who brought you to where you are today. Whether it's John and Kenny, all the way down to Charlie Daniels and Roger Miller, like we mentioned before, it opens up a whole new door and just a brand new sound. Just like every great artist came across with a brand new sound. From Junior to the CDB, all those guys, even John and Kenny.
Well, if you want to talk music, look about Eddie Van Halen. Mm-hmm. He just passed away. He literally changed the way guitar was played in the rock and roll industry. And believe it or not, up until probably 10 years ago, it's probably been maybe a little bit later, but over in England and France and Germany and stuff, their country over there was still old school. Johnny Cash, Dolly Parton, Loretta Lynn, Patsy Cline. That was their modern country up until about 10 years ago.
Well, Johnny Cash was considered a rebel.
Right? Oh, yeah. Well, and Waylon Jennings too. Yeah.
Music.
Yeah, we were just talking about that before.
If you look at music in general and musical movements, you look at say, for example, you look at punk rock, and it was born out of a sense of angst and rebellion. And some of the outlaw country, has similar undertones in terms of, you're upset about something. You're out. You're going against the grain, so to speak. I mean, if you listen to some of these older outlaw country songs, man, I mean, there's some stuff that's in there you can't talk about today.
Right. Yeah.
Because if you said it, you would be banned from the radio.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Well, the first platinum album was Outlaws with Waylon and Willie and John Paul Glazier and Jesse Coulter, and it was the first platinum in country music.
Then you had the Highwaymen that came along with Chris Christopherson and
Johnny Cash, and Willie Nelson
and Waylon
Jennings.
Waylon, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's funny how it works.
Oh yeah.
Music has a way of kind of repeating itself in terms of the history and the way things are done.
Yeah. Well, listen, here's what I want from you. I want a picture.
He's always wanting something.
I want a picture. You, John, and Kenny on my couch here in my living room next time you guys come to Florida. That way I can say, hey, they were at my house.
Don't do it, man. Don't do it. Don't agree to that.
Ah, come on. CT, my buddy. What's, hey, I think we can make it work, Well,
I think next time they're in town, we just cook for them.
Right. Well, yeah, we can cook. There you go. And you can tell John he can bring me another case of redneck whiskey. Yeah, there you go, baby. Yeah, we can have us a party.
Oh man, that sounds like trouble.
No, I promise we'll be civilized about it.
Oh yeah. Oh, we always promise.
We'll be civilized.
What? So we don't know. You're shooting to try to get something for November, December, out on the road. But as far as you and the guys, it probably won't be until you said February, right?
I think that's right. February is close.
Okay. Have you heard anything about maybe a big event down in Florida? Have you heard about getting booked? Maybe I haven't heard anything about like the Ocoee Founders Day. They haven't said anything about it for this coming year yet or not. Now I know the Swanee River Jam is coming. Country Thunder will be back here in February or March, but we got to get you guys on the big tickets.
Well, start making them calls and sending emails.
Yeah, come on, country. Throw your weight around a little bit.
Start making calls. Start making calls and make it happen. I really don't know. I don't get to be a part of the conversations at the agency level. Mm-hmm. Because they kind of handle all the booking. I just kind of, get a text message or an email.
Yeah, but you're an HR specialist.
HR is different than PR.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But that's in a different career path, and that doesn't have anything to do with the music side.
Yeah. Well, next time you're in town, we're all going to hang out.
Yes, definitely. We have to.
We'll throw down some food.
Yes.
Right on.
Definitely. What? Hey, tell everybody where they can get your latest music at, where they can order it online. I know
and where they can follow you.
Yeah, and because I know you're on all the streaming sites pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, if you're wanting to order it, you can order it from Amazon. Any of my albums you can find on Amazon, and you can obviously get the digital stuff from all the streaming sites and all your digital retailers.
Cool, man. Cool. Well, listen.
If you want an autographed CD, then you have to contact me through direct message, either on Facebook or on Twitter or Instagram, and then I'll get you details on how to do that.
Oh, I do need a picture from you, a signed 8x10 to hang on the wall here.
Did you know? I just hear him tell you to DM him.
I DM him. I'll relax.
I can't do nothing with him, Troy. I try, man.
I can text him now. See, relax. I got this covered. All right, man. See how we work? This is good stuff, man. See, I mean, even though he's a pain sometimes.
Yeah,
but,
he's just jealous because I'm prettier.
Whatever. Listen, I appreciate you taking your time out. Make sure you go get Cowboy Troy's latest music. Find him. You can also find him on our Spotify channel at Florida Country Radio.
And follow him everywhere. Follow him on all the social.
Everywhere. Man, it's so glad that you actually came on the show today.
The tweeters, the Instagrams,
and
all
hang
that.
out with us. I really appreciate it. I think you've been doing good in the music industry. I love your songs. Pork chops, I love it. Pork chops, that's kind of like my little intro for the shows. Pork chop, I like that. It's good. It's good stuff. So what's for dinner tonight? Real quick, tell us what's for dinner tonight.
I think I might make some leftovers because I've got a little bit of the chicken. Well, I mean, I've got chicken cacciatore left over, and I've got some leftover pork tenderloins. So I'll probably eat the leftovers.
Yeah,
I don't want to waste it.
Don't knock leftovers, man.
Yeah,
leftovers can rock.
I know leftovers are good. Leftovers are good.
They're real good.
All right, CT. Listen, I won't take up any more of your time. I appreciate you hanging with us.
Thanks for coming out, man.
And I will definitely be getting up with you later. Okay, man?
Sounds like a plan. Thank y'all. Appreciate your time.
Sure thing.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.
You too. Bye.
Our first interview in the books. Yay!
That was our second interview. Come on, man. Don't you keep
that's right. That so-called chef.
We did Matt. Oh, look at you from, what was it, the Gallery?
Galleria.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was great. I love talking to Troy. And the thing about CT is he does know his old country. It's not just some hip hop or rapper, or he knows his history. He's not just somebody trying to make a mark on, hey man, I'm gonna find my little place in this genre. But he knows his history. He knows who's who in our love of country music, and so you appreciate that more and more.
Oh yeah, definitely. So what happened this weekend?
Are we gonna go pee first?
Go pee.
Let's do a commercial.
Let's take a break, and we'll come back. Stay tuned.
Well, I love a rainy night. I love a rainy night. I love to hear the thunder, watch the lightning when it lights up the sky. You know it makes me feel good. Well, I love a rainy night, such a beautiful sight. I love to feel the rain on my face, taste the rain on my lips. In the moonlight shadows, showers wash all my cares away. I wake up to a sunny day, 'cause I love a rainy night. Yeah, I love a rainy night. Well, I love a rainy night. Well, I love a rainy night. Ooh, ooh. I love a rainy night. I love a rainy night. I love to hear the thunder, watch the lightning when it lights up the sky. You know it makes me feel good. Well, I love a rainy night, it's such a beautiful sight. I love to feel the rain on my face, taste the rain on my lips. In the moonlight shadows, puts a song in this heart of mine, puts a smile on my face every time, 'cause I love a rainy night. Yeah, I love a rainy night. Ooh, I love a rainy night. Yeah, I love a rainy night. Ooh, showers wash all my cares away. I wake up to a sunny day, 'cause I love a rainy night. Yeah, I love a rainy night. Well, I love a rainy night. I love a rainy night. Well, I love a rainy night. You can see it in my eyes. Yeah, I love a rainy night, 'cause it makes me high. Ooh, I love a rainy night. No, I do. Yeah, I love a rainy night. I love a rainy night. You can see it in my eyes. I love a rainy night. Makes me high. Well, I love a rainy night. I love you too. Yeah, I love a rainy night. Well, I love a rainy night. Well, I love a rainy night. I love a rainy night.
Oh, test.
Test.
I hope everything come out all right.
Hey, everything comes out fine, man. I don't have any problems. Or what were you talking about?
Your bathroom break.
Oh yeah, I did fine. It was good. No kidney stones, no blockages, so I'm all right.
Well, that's good. That's nice to know. Okay, so you go first. What happened this weekend?
Well, they had the Steak Will Shine Showdown. Had not as many teams as I was hoping for, but had a great turnout at the event in Yalaha, Florida, at the Yalaha Bootlegging Company, which is a moonshine distillery place. So that's a lot of fun. And then the B&B Charcoal was a big sponsor of that. So that was they sponsored the Gator Cook. So that was a lot of fun. It just had a great time, man. Just had some of my friends come in from Texas and Kansas City. And it was just an all-around good cook. Everybody loved it. A lot of great reviews. So next year we're hoping to have at least twice as many people.
What's the dates next year?
We don't have them yet.
Well, don't put them during Bike Week. That way I can come out.
I might do it just so you don't.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. What else? I
got nothing. I got my cookers coming. chimneycartel.com. Getting those finalized. Pre-sales going on right now. They started last week. And so if you want a nice little cooker, nice little tailgating cooker, go to chimneycartel.com, chimneycartel.com, and order you a nice little cooker. We got them 3 different ways. We got them a regular way. We got them powder coated with either red or black. And then we have stainless steel.
How tall are they? Do they
About 3 feet.
So they actually sit on a tailgate?
Well, you don't. It's 3 feet tall, so you don't really want to put them on tailgate. It's for tailgating, like you have a tailgating event, like you go to a ball game and stuff.
Right.
You can bring them out, and you cook a couple steaks on them. Chicken wings are great for chicken wings. We got a jalapeno popper plate that you can put on there. That just a bomb diggity. So
jalapeno popper plate.
Jalapeno. What did I say? Halloween.
You're talking about that steel slab that goes off to the side?
No, that's a shelf.
That's a regular shelf. Okay.
So the jalapeno popper thing, it sits on top of it, has holes down it, and you can put your poppers in.
Oh.
And cook
I
them
still
out.
ain't heard nothing back from that email that I sent to that one guy. I
That's
really
all right.
want that.
That grill?
Want that pit. Yeah, because it's cool. It's got a flat side on one side that you can cook on,
like a griddle,
like a griddle, and then the other side is actually got the slits in it for like a grill.
All right. So is Josh still listening to us?
I don't know if Josh is still there. Josh, you still there?
Yeah, give us a shout, Josh. I got a question for you if you're still on.
Pay attention, Josh.
Wake up, man. Stop working and talk to us. So tell us about Bike Week, man.
It was interesting. The COVID,
with this whole COVID thing.
The COVID hype was a bunch of BS. As soon as the first day happened, it was Josh is there. Okay, ask Josh the question.
Yeah. So hey, Country's telling me that you tool around Nashville a lot. Do you know Jamie Baxter and Paul Pace? They play in a lot of the clubs down there, Honky Tonk Central and is it Rippies or Riptides or something there on Lower Broadway. So those are boys from my hometown up in the tri-state area of Kentucky and West Virginia and Ohio.
But anyways, so Bike Week, it was all the hoopla. Of course, New York Times already tried to start all kind of bull crap come Thursday. They're saying, it was going to be the biggest catastrophic spread of COVID. Just like they tried to shit with out there in Sturgis. Josh says, no, the name's not personal. He don't know.
Okay.
He don't know him personally. So
all right.
But so it was a big hoopla. The only thing they couldn't have was the close up events like the oil wrestling and the coleslaw wrestling stuff. But other than that, it was a good turnout.
Now, was that because of the county or because of the state?
That was because of the county.
Yeah, so each county, like the states, we're pretty much open here in Florida for those of you that are outside of Florida. So we're open to do about whatever we want to do.
Right.
Then it's up to the counties and then the cities.
This Daytona Beach itself, the mayor, first of all, who was a Democrat, and second of all, he wanted to get reelected, which he did, because they found 1,200 ballots that weren't counted in the post office. That's how he won. Yeah, go figure. So he's the one that stopped the whole thing in Daytona Beach. All he did basically was shut down Main Street because No Name Saloon, Iron Horse, Broken Spoke, all those are in the county limits outside of Daytona Beach. So we had full access to do whatever we wanted to. We couldn't do nothing inside Daytona Beach. So the only thing we couldn't do in the county though was the wrestling, the oil wrestling, coleslaw wrestling, stuff like that. But everything else, distancing. If you wanted to wear a mask, that was up to you. Yada yada yada. So yeah, we pretty much could do what we wanted to in the county.
Yeah, I'm finding more stores down here are getting more relaxed on their whole mask policy.
Yeah.
I usually keep one in my pocket, but I stopped and got me a cup of coffee.
Well, if you notice too, the national numbers now for the flu virus has dropped.
Because we're all wearing masks?
No, because they switched them over and made them into COVID virus.
Oh, yeah.
They're counting them as COVID virus.
COVID virus. Well, yeah. So, cancer's that way too.
That's why the numbers are spiking. You know, how tell me this. All of a sudden, 37 states now in the United States has got numbers that are spiking. For the last 6 months, nobody has spiked anything. And there's 37 states all of a sudden now just spiking. And one of them, Sturgis. Sturgis
is not a state, man.
I mean, not Sturgis, but Dakota.
South Dakota.
There ain't really that many people in South Dakota.
Yeah, there's more people in Sanford than there is in the entire state of South Dakota.
Yeah, so, I mean... And they make such a big deal about it. It's all political bullshit.
It is.
It'll all be over November 4th.
November 4th, we're going regardless of who wins, it's done. November 4th, that's just the way it's going to be. But I think it's all politically motivated. Just like they're talking about the virus thing, talking about taking the vaccine. Cuomo out of New York said, "I'm not going to take the vaccine. I'm not." Kamala said, "No, I'm not." If Donald Trump says take it, I'm not taking it. Now, if the doctors say take it, and that's what they were talking about on the news yesterday, is if Biden and Kamala win, they're going to reap the benefits of this virus. So if they win, they're going to say, "Oh yeah, everybody take this virus,"
right?
And it's the exact same virus.
Yeah.
Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and all these other companies, they're developing it. Donald Trump and his cronies are not in the labs with their white coats and their sanitary gloves developing this virus.
No.
It's being developed by doctors.
He's doing stuff for the country.
He's pushing it as any president, regardless of political leanings, any president should be doing and pushing this vaccine to go through. And that's what Biden and Harris should be doing. They're like, all right, regardless, we know who's developing this. We've got to push this through on behalf of the American people. But what's happening in politics, how do we get on politics when we talk about food and stuff? But regardless,
you always do this.
But politics is gotten to be not for the good of the country. I mean, it's always been that way where it's good of the party. But at some point, you've got to be like, regardless of Democrat, Republican, Independent, dog catcher, whatever, at some point you've got to look at and see what is the good for the country, regardless of whether it's going to advance my political career or not. And I think when you do that, it's going to advance your political career beyond what you could have done by opposing it.
Right. And Trump don't care about advancing his career. He's got more money than who knows what.
He's got a couple more dollars than I do.
Right. Yeah. He don't care, and it's not about money for him either. So
yeah. And he wants to win because that's what he does.
Right.
He had a top-rated show.
It's about winning.
But it is about winning. But he is, and I'm I'm a big Trump fan, so there's no
everybody knows I'm
doubt about that. But he is, and I listen to some of the stuff. Now he runs his mouth a lot on Twitter, and he does call people by names and he schoolyard crap. But he goes out for what's the good of the country. He pushes this vaccine not necessarily because he wants to win the election, but because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
And I think if Harris and Biden came out and did the same thing, that regardless of what happens November 3rd, this vaccine developed by Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer and a couple other companies that are doing it, take this vaccine and be done with it. That's what is right, regardless of how. But that's my tangent.
But they're also talking about putting tracking stuff in this.
Well, they've been talking about putting a little tracking GPS device in people from babies to kind of keep. And some parents do that. Some people put a tracking device in their babies.
Yep.
So that they don't get kidnapped and things like that. I'm like, you're dumb. I don't even do it for my dog.
I tell you what, if they don't get rid of Como in New York City ain't gonna be nothing left.
Well, they are. They were talking about this morning because I just
and get rid of the mayor too. What's his name?
De Blasio.
De Blasio, yeah.
Yeah. I was listening to the news. New York City, New York City's tax rate is 62%.
That's why they're leaving them.
Can you believe paying, like you get $1, 62 cents of that dollar goes to the government, and you have to live on 38 cents for every dollar you make.
That's no worse than living in India.
That
or
is
Czechoslovakia
unreal.
Or
There'd be no way. I would be pulling everything I have out of New York City if that was my tax rate.
They're doing it. They're losing.
And then you have Nashville, Josh there in Nashville. Their mayor is not much different. He's wanting to tax everything.
34%.
Yeah. Well, he's wanting to go higher than that. He's just a goober head, to use some colorful language.
They need to make it to where everybody. You can't tell me that. Oh, and did you see what the stimulus package is involved? I posted it on my Facebook page. I
don't follow you on Facebook.
Yeah, I know you don't. You don't pay attention to anything. The stimulus package that Pelosi has put together is ungodly real. There is no money. They're saying if you can give a stimulus check to $1,200 for people, where's the extra $2 billion going to? Yeah. And it lists off it's unreal.
Well, what happens is, and both parties do this when they do this kind of crap, is they stick a bunch of stuff in it that has nothing to do with what the bill is. So you have, like the last time we got a check, the company's got a check. In that was so many millions of dollars for the Kennedy Center. Like, what does that have to do with COVID? To help float the Kennedy Center?
Yeah.
That's a bunch of crap. And that's what this new bill is. They want to give a bunch of money to some of these states that were a wreck even before COVID hit.
Yeah.
They want to make sure they get all this money, and the Republicans are like, no, let's save this money and give it to the people. They're the ones that are actually hurting, and when the people have money in their pocket, they'll spend that money, and the states are going to get it anyway.
Yeah.
And that with sales tax and state tax and all the other taxes that everybody lobs onto us.
It's no wonder that President Obama wanted to change the Constitution. He wanted to change the Constitution when he was in office.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if the Democrats got that done? What kind of trouble we'd be in?
Well, that would have to be. You couldn't change the Constitution.
Well, yeah,
it has to. It'd
have to go to the Supreme Court and all that stuff.
Be nothing like that. And so it's just crazy talk. And Trump is like I'd be in favor of giving him more money if it actually went to the people.
Right. Yeah, $2 billion. Do you realize how much you could give each person in the United States that has a Social Security number $1 million and still have plenty of money left over?
And why not write a bill, Congress? So if any of you all are up there in D.C. and you're listening to us, because why wouldn't you be? How about just write a bill, and it just be this simple: give X amount of dollars to the citizens of the United States.
Right.
And be done with it.
The citizens, not people living here, the citizens.
Yeah, right,
the
right.
actual citizens.
Right, and that's what, well, I chose my words wisely.
No, I know, but some of them yahoos up there don't know.
If you're paying taxes in the United States, then you should be able to get a check.
Right.
From the government and be done with it. No corporates, no states.
Yep.
Just big country and Vic get a check
for $100,000.
Well, it doesn't have to be that much. We got $1,200 apiece the last time, so why not do it again?
I didn't get $1,200.
Well, that's because you're a loser. Why not just send out a check and be that simple? Why do you want to tag on giving the Kennedy Center a couple $1 billion? Why do I want to bail out a state? Why do I want to make sure Google make sure they have enough money to do whatever? I don't care about them. They're going to be okay. It's the guys. It's the restaurant worker whose restaurant in New York City has been closed since March.
Yep.
It's the music artist who has not been able to travel and do anything and can't get a job in the restaurant industry because the restaurants are closed to make the bills. Troy is lucky that he's able to get some stuff to. Right. He's able to do some consulting. He's able to do a little bit of restaurant work in Texas because Texas is open. Look at all the people in New York City that can't do that.
Right. The Generation Z, which is anybody that was born from 1996 and above, doesn't realize that they want this $15 an hour. Okay, fine. If you get it, that's great. But you're going to end up paying for it in the long run. You're going to pay $15 for that damn hamburger at McDonald's because it affects everything. It's like Ronald Reagan said, trickle-down economics. Everything affects everything. So you're going to pay more in taxes. You're going to pay more in food. You're going to pay more in everything. So just
you are. So when you raise taxes on a corporation, you're a fool if you think that corporation is going to take it out of their profits.
Right. They're not.
McDonald's is not going to take the money out of their profits to pay. They're going to raise by a couple cents or whatever that Big Mac.
Yep.
Google is going to raise the price of the ads that they put on there to offset all this.
Yep.
And then we're still stuck with it. The taxes, when you raise minimum wage for the guy working in the dairy factory making the milk, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to raise the price of the milk to offset that cost. They're not going to take it out of their profits. You're an idiot if you think that they're going to do that. And it's just dumb.
It makes no sense.
And then the only people getting the raise are the people on the bottom. So I work for a company for 16 years, and all of a sudden I'm making the same amount of money as somebody who walked in the door yesterday.
Yep.
Because they raised the minimum wage to what I'm actually making, and then what does that do for my morale?
Yeah,
why
leave the minimum wages where it's at, and then just give those people that's been there the longest give them the boost.
Right. And you've got to be able to do the only way to do real minimum wage increases is when the country is in an economic boom to where everybody's making money. And then it's not really a minimum wage increase. Then the companies are going to start giving raises to their people within their profit margins, of course. They're going to start giving raises because they're making more. So why not give this down? Now, you're going to have some of those companies out there that are going to be a bunch of goober heads who aren't going to do that, who aren't going to give the money to their people. And that's if you still work for a company like that who's just going to make money and ride your back, then you should just quit that company and find a new company.
Yeah. And
then that company will fail because it'll either fail or it'll say, okay, here's the error of our ways. Let's go forward and start giving these people some living wage. That's how true growth comes. And not just the government saying, hey, let's just raise everybody's bottom line.
And the kids today are stuck in the loop because they don't realize part of this bill or this stimulus package. They want to pay off everybody's tuition for the last 10 years.
Yeah,
all the kids. But yet Obama is the one back years ago said, "Oh yeah, go to college, get you an education, find a new trade if you want. There'll be plenty of work when you come out." Wrong.
Yeah. Well, now look at the only people that's been working the past few months. Since March.
Yeah,
it's been the trade industry.
Trade industry.
So if you've got unless you're got a corporate job and you're able to work at home, you're just sitting at home watching Netflix. Because until here recently, when things start to open up, because that's just all there is. Everybody's that's a trade is really who's been working through this whole thing.
Yes.
So anyway, those are tangents. I thought I was done with this.
You can't blame McDonald's for getting fat.
No, you can blame Netflix because you're sitting there eating pork rinds.
Pork rinds ain't supposed to be fat.
Pork rinds and Coca-Cola. That's what they put on them.
Oh, that's
pork
true.
rinds and Coca-Cola.
So what's the next thing you got coming up?
Nothing.
Okay, good. I'm gonna talk then.
Cool beans.
I have a wedding, or not a wedding. Well, actually, I do. I got two of them coming up, but I got a Halloween party next weekend. I got a Halloween party the following weekend. I got two weddings in November, and I got New Year's Eve. So I'm doing pretty good.
Oh, we're talking about work. Man, I've got all kinds of work. I got writing to do, and
writing don't count. All you're doing is sitting there doing.
You're right. What are you doing when you spin stuff? Oh yeah, you're just sitting there.
I
playing
talk on
records.
the microphone and I play music. I have to hit the right buttons.
Hit the right button.
What
So what's the latest in the independent music industry?
Not much.
Tell us what's going on with some of these independent. How are these independent artists getting along now that there's not really any kind
Most of them have day jobs.
Well, yeah, I know that.
Yeah,
but how they getting their word out when they're not able to go to the clubs and the bars and stuff like that to play?
Social media, like Troy was CT was talking about. Social media. They want the social media wants to, especially Facebook. They want to close down. That's why they block all music that comes through there. That's what I'm just saying. The song that I played earlier, Eddie Money. We'll see if they if they kick it.
Eddie Rabbit.
See if they kick it out. Or what I say, Eddie Money. See if they kick it out. Their social media. Social media for them is the only way really to get their music out. Plus all the platforms like Spotify, iTunes, yada yada yada, stuff like that. So if with Facebook, that's why I say Facebook has become the epiphany of what are you a freaking English teacher?
Kinda.
Whatever. They become see, now I lost my train of thought. All right.
They've become
the epitome of an English teacher. Yeah, basically. They tell you what to do, when to play it, how to play it, and if you're not paying any kind of royalties to them, or if you're actually not on their list of people that can play stuff, then they ain't gonna play. They ain't gonna let you play it on Facebook. But the thing is, being the fact, if you're an internet radio station and you pay your fees and your, all the licenses and the state license I have to pay and stuff like that, but yet they still don't recognize us because we're, quote, not a legitimate. So once they decide to make internet radio stations legitimate, because that's all FM stations did, was they just took their license and just jumped on the internet, and all they're doing is simulcasting everything they broadcast on FM radio.
Like I used to do a Friday morning thing on our station out of New York, and that's
Froggy,
what they would
right?
do. Huh?
Was it Froggy?
Yeah, Froggy 97. So I was up there. We would do Facebook Live all the time up there. So whenever I'd roll in, when I did the events up there, I would go and do a Facebook Live. But he would always post a Facebook Live when he's on. And that's what they're doing. They're doing Facebook Live and playing the songs and come through because they're using their same license.
Right, yeah. You can't play that. You can't play. See, like what we're doing right now, we're doing a Facebook Live. We can sit here and talk. Facebook's the only one to let us go for hours and hours. Instagram only lets you do 1 hour. So, but on Instagram is not. This is kind of ironic because Instagram
is owned by Facebook.
Yeah, it's owned by Facebook, but they'll give you a little bit more leeway than what Facebook actually does when it comes to playing.
Well, and it has all to do with copyright laws and all that kind of stuff too. When you start first playing songs over the internet for free, and like if we start playing Eddie Rabbitt and George Strait and all those guys on the internet for free, then they're not making any money for it.
That's why a lot of them are going to. A lot of the internet stations, they'll have the Facebook page like what we do, so we don't have to deal with it. To do my top 20 countdown, I don't play no songs on Facebook whatsoever. I put the link on Facebook to go to Twitch. And Twitch is a platform based for musicians, gamers, stuff like that. Yeah, so you can play music on there all day long, and nobody cares. So people can actually come, watch the show, listen to the music, and have a good time.
Yeah, and the independent artists they've got to become marketing.
Yeah, Josh
experts.
is right. It's all about money. It is. It's all about money.
It is, and that's what boils down. And it's a business. And Troy was talking about it earlier, but it is a business.
Yep.
And it's not called Show Friends. It's a business. These guys are in a money making business. And when I play George Strait's song for free, his label's not making money.
Right.
His band is not making money. He's not making money. Because I'm letting go. So I understand from the business aspect, business perspective, on why they don't want it played for free on the internet. And then why you have only a 30-second window to play something. Like you watch Fox News, their intros and outros are always some song.
Right. It's like 15
but it's only
30,
15 to 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Because anything beyond that is a violation of copyright laws.
Yeah.
And they play regular popular music and old music and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But it's just crazy. And these independent artists have got to become experts now, especially now, on how to market themselves to get their word out, because all they have is the internet. And that's where the internet is great for some of these independent guys and girls who don't have the background or don't have the backing of a major label.
All right. Yeah.
What Josh saying?
He says, I am not hating on that. It is how they use twisting arm tactics and the cost of
course.
Cost they charge you for the license. Yeah,
because they don't care about you. They care about making the money.
Josh, you know how I feel about that? The royalty license that BMI and ASCAP supposedly collects is ridiculous, because you guys, as far as artists is concerned, and writers, songwriters, they don't get nothing. They hardly get anything. Even the artists, even the performers don't hardly get anything, because all the money goes to the bigwigs. That's why we need to change the people that sit up at the top of the 4 major record labels.
Well, it's not gonna
Sony.
happen.
Yeah, it ain't going to happen because it's a good old boy system.
Well, it's not even that. It's they are they're business guys, and they're not in it for the music for the most part. Not like they used to be. Not like Curb Records and some of these guys, RCA. It was still a business, but they were in it for the music.
Well, maybe we should get back to that way. Maybe if we
we're
could
not
get,
going.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because everything was bought out by corporations out of New York.
Yeah.
When the corporations started getting involved in the music industry, then that's when it went from being about the music and getting the music out there to being about getting the latest thing out there to make myself some money.
Right. Well, give you a case in point. Disney Country, Radio Disney. They shut down all their locations all over the United States except for one, and that was in California, out in Los Angeles. They moved everything to Los Angeles because they felt that it would be a better location for Los Angeles to have Radio Disney when most of your artists that they're playing are based right here in Nashville.
Yeah.
And they shut down Nashville. They shut down New York. Orlando, Disney World here in Orlando's got a brand spanking new studio, broadcasting studio right there on Main Street.
How come we're not using it?
That's what I would like to know.
We should be there.
We should be there. Yeah, we should be there broadcasting.
Yeah, but I mean, everybody's consolidating things, and that's what Disney did. I mean, not to defend.
Well, it's because they I don't know. From what
that's where their headquarters is at.
Right.
Disney's is Disney World is much larger and got more stuff going on.
Right.
But the headquarters for the Walt Disney Company is in California. So why not?
Yeah, and go figure. Now they're fighting to try to get their Disneyland open back up.
Yeah,
because
they can't get it open
because California won't let them.
Yeah. So it bites them in the butt every time. So it's just a crazy system, and everybody's fighting to make a dollar. So whether you're a caterer, whether you're an independent artist, it's all about finding your way on the internet to market yourself, and that's where people are trying to find now. That's where Troy's at. He said you could DM. How many artists of his caliber or even above can you direct message?
I can.
Well, I mean, but no.
I know an average person, right?
Well, anybody. So he said, yeah, just hit me up on a DM, because most of theirs, you talk about the McGraws and some of those
they're
guys,
run by somebody
else. They got
else.
their PR person taking care of it.
Right, yeah.
But now Troy's like, yeah, hit me up. I'll hit you up. I'll put you in charge of who can get you an autographed CD of my latest song. So
right.
That's just so cool when these guys answer their own things. And although Trump runs his mouth on his Twitter account, he is doing his Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
And
he is.
That's why I appreciate.
Nobody else would be crazy enough to type what he's typing.
And that's what got Twitter popular. Remember Blake Shelton when he was so popular?
Right.
He's so popular, but whenever he kind of brought the Twitter to the forefront by him putting all these funny jokes. I lost out on the funniest comedian of the year award a few years ago to Blake Shelton, because he would post stuff all the time on his Twitter account that was just funny. I don't even know if he does anymore. I don't follow him, or if I do, it doesn't pop up on my stuff. So it's just, now I follow news stuff because I'm a junkie.
Yeah, you're a junkie, all right.
News junkie.
All right, give us one more shout-out about all your pages and stuff like that, because we're getting ready to sign off here, so we don't run out of juice. We started a little bit early too, so I think we might be able to squeeze another 5 minutes out before this camera runs
out. So yeah, follow me at all my Jimmy Cartel at all the social media stuff: Facebook, the Instagrits, TikTok. Is it TikTok?
You're the one that watches it,
YouTube,
and talks about it.
Listen,
and you don't
TikTok is educational. It shows you how
It
shows you how you can pop a pimple.
Telling yourself that, you'll be all right.
It shows you how to pop a pimple, how to catch fish, how to cook, how to do dances. It does the dancing thing. You got to do the dances. I don't have to do them, but people do. And it's just and they got all kinds of things. You can find all kinds of things on the TikTok. That's a lot of fun. But follow me at Chimney Cartel on all the social media platforms, and hit them up where you're at, man.
Yes, because he don't know how to post on our stuff. He wanted to be a part of this show, but yet he won't post on the Barbecue Beach channel. So I have to do all that.
I don't even know where it's at.
Plus take care of my stuff. What's up, James? How's it going, buddy?
Is that James B. Hare?
Yep.
Yeah, it's my buddy out of California.
And now he says it out here in California sucks. Yeah. Hey, Florida's open 100%. Come on over here, man.
He loved California or Florida, man. James is a good guy. He's a good barbecue guy.
Did I meet him last year when I was out there?
Have you been to California?
No. No. He's never been over to this.
He's not been to one of my events.
Oh, okay.
I went out there and we hung out.
You're probably in luck, James. You didn't miss much because he said there's just nothing going on. So
James knows. James, my pal.
Follow us at the Barbecue Beach channel here. We also got, and who knows, this page might change another couple times if I get froggy, but it will always be the Grilling and Chilling channel. So
Grillin and Chillin.
But we're always on the air on Wednesdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
Yeah, day was early because of Troy.
Because of Cowboy Troy. Thanks to Cowboy Troy for hanging with us today.
Yep.
Follow us, keyword Grill N Chill.
GRIL, the letter N
and chill.
CHIL.
Chi. You've been thinking of that chia pet. Okay. Also,
that's what happens when you eat chia seeds and you fart. Like instead of going, it goes chia.
You can find us at WBCW Networks also, which is WBCW_networks. And just check us out, man. And but same time, same time, same place next week.
Not same
Wednesday,
time, different time.
Different time. Regular time. 5 p.m. I'll figure out who's going to be on the show. If we got anybody, if not, we'll just have to listen to Vic talk for 2 hours.
We can do it. I can talk for 2 hours.
Yeah, I know.
Unfortunately, I can do a lot for 2 hours.
So, anyways, thanks to our buddy. What's his name? That's right. Pork chop. I like this tune. So thanks to CT for hanging with us today and talking with us. But check us out. Make sure you follow us. Hit us up. We're working on getting us a Facebook page. Or not a Facebook, but a YouTube channel probably. So we got all kind of stuff. But just follow us right here on the Barbecue channel. And
Barbecue Beats.
And that's, hey, that's all the information you need, right? So,
yeah, what more they want.
I know. All right, until next time.
See y'all next week.
See you next week. Bye-bye.
Gotta treat it nice, so it's nice and